Hello SGD, Sacred Geometry Decoded. I'll put some links to some extended versions where I looked at, well, this 4D matrix, and there's interesting things about it, but how it would connect to Pythagorean tuning. So the video will be 432 versus 440. This has been an argument I've seen going on for years. There's all sorts of, 440 is equal, so music tuning, so whether it's concert pitch 432 versus 440. I looked into the various concert pitches and it's not as clear cut as 432 versus 440. I do prefer 432 because of the numbers. So 432 hertz is A. D in Pythagorean tuning is 288. And what's interesting is if I multiply 1 to the 4th times 2 to the 3rd times 3 to the 2nd times 4, I get 288. If I add 1 to the 1st plus 2 to the 2nd plus 3 to the 3rd plus 4 to the 4th, I get 288. And the factorial of 4, add those up to, anyway, that's something. But 432 versus 440 in the Great Pyramid. So I made one of this. So there's your model of the Great Pyramid. And you have those proportions, phi and pi. But so what we have is that the base of the Great Pyramid is 440 Egyptian royal cubits. This is a number that appears in many other places, like recently I mentioned in some videos the Sydney Harbour Bridge being 440 feet high, and the Harmonics conversions are lovely numbers you get from that. So 440 is the base of the Great Pyramid, and therefore 220 Egyptian royal cubits is the half base, which is again an important feature. But 432 versus 440 of the Great Pyramid, and 4D, so first, second, third, fourth dimension. Now I'll just show you, well, there's a lovely thing connecting the at least into the fourth dimension, but so we have 1 to the first, 1 to the second, so 2 squared would be 4. So what we want here is the number 4. Okay. Now what's interesting is that if you add 1 to the first plus 1 to the second, or 1 plus 2 to the first, that equals to 4. Now if you carry that through, so the next 3 squared would be 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, and 6 squared is 36. Now if we follow that same rule, so 3 plus 2 plus 4 equals 9. Follow the rule again, 4 plus 3 plus 9 equals 16. 5 plus 4 plus 16 equals 25. And 6 plus 5 plus 25 equals 36. Now the 2 cubed would be 8. However, if we add 1 plus 1 plus 4, we don't get 8. What we do is we get, is it going to show up? So anyway, 6. So what we have is a deficit of 2. Now here's the interesting thing, at least from my mind, 1 times 2 equals 2. So that would give us that missing piece. So what if we do, so the next one will be 2 times 3 equals 6, 3 times 4 equals 12, 4 times 5 equals 20, and 5 times 6 equals 30. So will that provide the keys? So 3 cubed would be 27. If we add these 3 together, we get 21. A deficit of 6, and 12 would be the next gap, so 16 plus 9, 25. Well, firstly, what would be the would be 64 that we're looking for. And 25 plus 27 gives us 52. That's a deficit of 12 again. Well, 12 now. This is now going to work, etc., etc., into the same pattern. The gap that we need to add these three is the multiplication of the rows that they're on. So next one would be 2 to the 4th would be 16. That would be 81, 256, 625, and 1296. So if we add, again, we add these together, what we get is 10. So now we're missing 6. Well, 1 plus 2 is 3. And 3 times 2 is 6. So that would give us what we're missing. And so now just follow that same rule. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 times 6 is 30. So that's what we're looking for. And what's that? 35, 45, 51. If we add those together, 51. Therefore we're missing 30, and there we have it, 30. And that same rule is going to apply. So the next one would be 3 plus 4 equals 7. 7 times 12 is 84. Is that right? Yep. 7 times 12, 70. Yep, 84. And well, it works. I'll put links where I've gone through it, but what I want to get to is that now we have that pattern. So I've just written them in their powers, not in the individual numbers. But now this is the part that I think is interesting. So now let's look at the differences between each one. So 2 minus 1 is going to be 1. These are all going to be 1. 3 minus 4 is going to be 1. 1 and 1. The next gap, that's 4. 2 squared is 4, so that'll be 3. And, well, here's 3. Now the 3 squared is 9, minus 4 squared is 5. 16 minus 9 is 7. And 25 minus 16 is 9. And 36 minus 25 is 11. So you just go up actually by odd numbers, or just carry up through in that pattern. Now the next one would be 8 minus 1, so we have 7. 27 minus 8 is 17. 64 minus 27 is 37. The next one would be 61. 93 is 6 cubed minus 5 cubed. Is that right? Let me check the notes. 37, 61. Actually, that's 91. Yep, so actually that's 91 now. The next ones would be 15, 65, 175, 369, and then, check the notes, 671. So now we have the differences between them, and if we go, now let's just add them all up. So 1 plus 3 plus 7 plus 15 is 26. 65 plus 17 plus 5 plus 1. Let me double check that one. 90. Just follow the pattern, add them up along the line. 220. Add these up. We get 440. And next one would be now that's what there's a whole bunch of, again, links in the description to other ones because you have all your harmonic numbers. Okay, now for instance, 3 to the first plus 4 to the second plus 5 to the third equals 144. 3 to the first plus 4 to the second plus 5 to the third plus 6 to the fourth equals 1,440. 1 to the first times 2 to the second times 3 to the third is 108. There's just a whole bunch of, that harmonic numbers tuning chart is really in here as well. But what's interesting is that at this point, they're exactly at a 2-to-1 ratio. This is not going to happen anywhere along the rest of the pattern if you carry it out. And that brings us back to the pyramid of 440 with a half base of 220. So this comes from the 4D grid. Now there's a whole bunch of what I think is really interesting connections through this 4D matrix and the other patterns. So something I did a long time ago, and I want to go back into it again, but there are all sorts of very curious patterns built into this. That's by no means the only one, and there seems to be, most importantly, a rule of 4 that connects these things in a very, very curious way. So this is something, again, I did a long time ago. Luckily I kept these notes looking into it because there's something a lot more involved in it. But Great Pyramid, one of the reasons I think that this 440 number, 432, but this whole, the fourth dimension is what I'm getting at, that the mathematics of the fourth dimension. Now I can't, what is the fourth dimension? We can move forward and back, side to side, up and down. We have clearly 3 spatial dimensions. The math shows us that there are other higher dimensions. What the fourth actually is, well, I can't say. I don't, we're 3-dimensional creatures. We're not tuned for that, but the maths is clear on it. And that's what I think is actually happening in regards to even these older, so whether it's the Ark of Utnapishtim, New Jerusalem, so much of these beautiful harmonic numbers actually have 4-dimensional and probably higher connections to it. And that's why I think this 440 is not this evil thing. I prefer 432 because of the harmonic scales, because it connects to 216, 108, 144, 288, 72, all those types of numbers. But if you're a bit of a math number nut like myself, if you start mapping these out, and yeah, there's some really, really interesting connections that come from this in regards to even, for instance, the Tetractys and where are we? Yeah, a whole bunch of other number streams, the way they grow. Anyway, probably rambling now too much. SGD, thinking 4D, and the Pythagorean tuning is great, but I think it does connect mathematically to 33, 44, 55, 66, and that in itself is a pyramid link, because the pyramid is 11 wide by 7 high. So this the 7s and the 11s, for instance, 11 times 3 is that 33, that very, it's esoteric Masonic number, 44, 55, 66, and how these things grow. And I think that especially the 7 and the 11 it will actually connect nicely because, okay, 432 is a Harshad number. 4 plus 3 plus 2 equals 9. 108 is a Harshad number. 1 plus 0 plus 8 is 9. So all of these Pythagorean numbers are very closely linked to the 9, but 7, 9, 7, 9 and 11 as well is a little bit, yep. Just a thought bubble. Anyway, links in the description to longer versions, or I go more into the connections between 153, 288, etc. Cheers.